Hey, this is Joe at the Pour Over.
And this is Zan at the Pour Over.
Today, we're talking about the U.S. putting pressure on Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war, wildfires and flooding across the country, a Supreme Court Education Department decision, and other top news for Wednesday, July 16th. Stay informed while remaining focused on Christ with the Pour Over.
Here's your quote of the day. You have to see Sabbath as a faith act. It is a decree that I live on God, not on work. Justin Kendrick. Let's get started with some espresso shots.
Uncle Sam is digging in against Russia. On Monday, President Trump announced the U.S. will sell, quote, top-of-the-line weapons to NATO allies who will then, quote, massively supply them to Ukraine. He also threatened, quote, very severe tariffs at about 100% on Russia's remaining trade partners unless a ceasefire is reached within 50 days, saying a great conversation with Putin doesn't mean anything if the Kremlin continues to attack its western neighbor. Ukrainian President Zelensky thanked Trump for his willingness to support Ukraine, but war-worn Ukrainians have expressed disappointment with the 50-day deadline, arguing it will only give Russia more time to claim lives. Moscow is giving Washington the cold shoulder, calling Trump's announcement a, quote, theatrical ultimatum, and arguing that NATO's support for Ukraine encourages Kyiv to continue the war rather than pursue peace. Christians should be committed to praying for world leaders to be wise and to work towards peaceful resolutions while simultaneously placing our hope in God, not government. 1 Timothy 2, verses 1 through 2 says, First of all, then, I urge that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for everyone, for kings and all those who are in authority, so that we may lead a tranquil and quiet life in all godliness and dignity.
Extreme weather has wreaked havoc across the country this month. Lightning-sparked wildfires have been scorching the Grand Canyon since July 4th. The, quote, Dragon Bravo fire has burned over 5,700 acres, destroyed nearly 80 structures, including the century-old Grand Canyon Lodge, and forced the North Rim to close for the rest of the season. No injuries have been reported. In Massachusetts, a fire tore through an assisted living home in Fall River on Sunday, killing 9 residents and injuring over 30, including first responders. The cause is under investigation. Meanwhile, heavy floods have inundated New York City and other northeastern cities. This comes on the heels of relentless rains across Kerr County, Texas, the location of Camp Mystic, where persistent downpours continue to hamper recovery efforts following the July 4th flash floods that killed over 130. Massive weather events and natural disasters remind us that all of the world has been broken by sin. But Christians can look forward to an eternity where there's redemption not just for people, but for creation itself. Romans 8:20-21 says, For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in the hope that the creation itself will also be set free from the bondage to decay into the glorious freedom of God's children.
Lawmakers have declared it Crypto Week on Capitol Hill. The U.S. is considering 3 bills that promise to bring crypto out of the Wild West. Number 1, the Genius Act would establish a framework for stablecoins, digital tokens tied to value tangible assets like the U.S. dollar, and already passed the Senate with bipartisan support. Number 2, the likely harder-to-pass Clarity Act would give regulatory oversight of different crypto assets to either the SEC or Commodities Future Trading Commission. And number 3, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act would prohibit the Federal Reserve from creating its own digital currency in an effort to keep crypto decentralized. Bitcoin briefly topped $123,000 on Monday, a new all-time high and up about 85% over the last year, in hopes this week will finally bring regulatory clarity to the industry. And if Crypto Week isn't your thing, Shark Week kicks off Sunday. Here's a verse to consider when obsessively checking whether stocks or cryptos are up or down. I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I find myself. I know how to make do with little, and I know how to make do with a lot. In any and all circumstances, I've learned the secret of being content. Whether well-fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need, I am able to do all things through him who strengthens me. Philippians 4, verses 11 through 13.
Hey, it's Ellie from The Pour Over, and I'm officially in my breezy summer era, swapping out my cold weather wardrobe for linen everything. And with Quint, the transition's been effortless. Their linen is 100% European flax, which sounds fancy, and is, but their summer staples come without the fancy price tag. I grabbed a couple pairs of linen pants and some overalls, and have zero budget regret. Whether I'm heading to church, packing for vacation, or just trying not to sweat through another Tuesday, Quint is my new breezy BFF. Stick to the staples that last. With elevated essentials from Quint, go to quince.com/TPO for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/TPO to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/TPO.
In Other Brews, here's a rapid round of updates. School's out for the summer, but school politics aren't. The Supreme Court lifted a block on a White House plan to massively shrink the Department of Education and give more authority to states. Meanwhile, 24 blue states are suing the Trump admin to release $7 billion in frozen-for-review after-school program funds, arguing the delay is hurting schools and children.
Nominations for the 77th Emmy Awards were announced yesterday, with Apple's Severance picking up the most nominations at 27, including Best Drama Series. Returning shows The Bear, The Last of Us, and The White Lotus made the list again, while newcomers The Studio, The Penguin, and Adolescence also received gobs of noms. Comedian Nate Bargatze will host the award show on September 14th.
Andrew Cuomo is re-entering the New York politics chat. The former governor announced he'll continue running for mayor of the Big Apple as an independent after conceding the Democratic primary to Zohran Mamdani last month. It's a crowded field that also includes incumbent Eric Adams, Democrat turned independent, and Republican Curtis Sliva, founder of the Guardian Angels, a volunteer crime-stopping group similar to the Knights of the Night. If you know, you know.
Big Tech and DC are forging friendships. The U.S. just gave NVIDIA the green light to resume selling high-performance chips to China, a move that could ease trade tensions. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense awarded contracts worth up to $200 million each to Google, Anthropic, and xAI to help integrate artificial intelligence into national security efforts.
Your favorite Blue Moon ice cream might be a little less blue. Dozens of ice cream producers announced they'll remove artificial colors by 2028, including Red 40, Green 3, Blue 2, and Yellow 5. No mention of TPO's favorite, Coral 316. The International Dairy Foods Association insisted the dyes are safe, but wants to get ahead of possible bans.
That's all we have for today. Thanks so much for listening, TPO fam. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow and hit the notification bell to never miss a new episode. We're grateful for your support and hope you have a great day. Catch you on Friday. If you like to think about complex issues, if loving your neighbor makes you smile, If you'd like to be challenged in your faith in a way that's not condemning, have we got a podcast for you. Check out Holy Post from VeggieTales creator Phil Vischer, a theologically orthodox, pro-neighbor, entertaining podcast about what's going on in our world and how to see issues and the people affected by them, as Jesus does. Follow Holy Post wherever you listen to podcasts.